I never thought life could feel this perfect. I mean, I grew up in a town so small that everyone knew your business before you even lived it. And yet, here I am, walking hand in hand with Aiden down streets lit by the city's glow, feeling like I finally made it. "Did you see the new cafe that opened?" he asked, his voice warm as he tugged me closer. "I did. I was thinking we could go there tomorrow," I replied, trying to hide the flutter in my chest. Every glance he gave me, every half-smile, made me feel like I was the only person in the world. "You always have the best ideas," he said, brushing a strand of hair from my face. It was moments like this I clung to, the simplicity, the charm, the way life seemed paused just for us. Yet, I couldn't shake the niggling unease creeping in. Lately, he'd been taking late calls, disappearing for hours without explanation. "Aiden, are you still busy with work tonight?" I asked one evening as he checked his phone again. He looked up, his smile practiced. "You know how it is. Just some business things." But his eyes were elsewhere. I swallowed my concern, telling myself I was imagining things. Surely, nothing could tarnish this life. Friends often asked how I ended up with someone like him. I laughed nervously and said, "I guess I'm just lucky." Inside, though, a quiet voice whispered doubts I refused to listen to. Were those whispers warnings? Or was it just me, scared to see cracks in the dream I'd been chasing all my life? Still, I smiled, held his hand tighter, and told myself, love like this only comes once. I was naive, yes, but blissfully, foolishly happy. I thought I knew everything about Aiden. I thought I could trust him with my heart, my dreams, my entire world. But that night, everything I believed crumbled. I was searching for a book in his study when I stumbled upon a folder hidden behind the bookshelves. Curiosity piqued. I opened it and froze. Bank statements that didn't add up. Emails contradicting the stories he told me about his family. A lease agreement, not a mansion, that proved his inherited wealth was a fabrication. Why would he lie about this? I whispered, my voice trembling. When he walked in, casual as always, I barely managed a shaky breath. Aiden, what is this? I held up the folder. He raised an eyebrow, a faint smirk tugging at his lips. What's that? My life? Our life? Was it all a lie? My hands shook, tears stinging my eyes. He laughed softly, almost condescendingly. Sweetheart, are you serious? You think you can trust everything you see? Are you saying I'm imagining things? That none of this matters. Look, I never said anything you didn't want to hear, he said smoothly. Maybe you're overthinking it. Maybe you're just insecure. I blinked, trying to steady my racing heart. How could he turn this around on me? Was I really overreacting? Friends started noticing my withdrawal. You've changed. My best friend, Sophie, said over coffee. Something's wrong. Talk to me. I'm fine, I lied, swallowing the lump in my throat. You're not fine, she insisted. You deserve honesty, not secrets. Don't let him manipulate you. I wanted to believe her, but my mind wavered. Could I really trust my own judgment after everything he said? The disbelief, the heartbreak, and the simmering anger collided inside me. That night, I sat by the window, folder clutched to my chest. I realized the choice ahead wasn't simple. Do I fight, expose the lies, seek revenge? Or do I protect myself, step away and rebuild quietly? I didn't have an answer yet. All I had was the truth. Messy, painful, undeniable. And the sinking realization that the life I thought I had was just a story Aiden had written, without me. The party was supposed to be glamorous, a celebration of Aiden's latest business triumph. I walked in, hoping to mask the unease churning in my stomach. But the moment he spotted me, that charming smile was gone, replaced by something colder, sharper. So, everyone, he began, raising his glass. Let me tell you about my little girlfriend here. She thinks she knows me, knows my life, my world. But really, she's just a small-town girl playing in the big leagues. The laughter that followed felt like knives. I froze. Aiden, stop, I whispered, my voice trembling. "Oh, come on," he said, turning to the crowd. "She didn't even realize half the things about me are complicated. And the things she does know, let's just say she's a little naive about how wealth and power really work." Heat burned my cheeks. I could feel every gaze piercing through me, the whispers swirling like a storm. My chest tightened. My stomach lurched. After the initial humiliation, I retreated to a corner, clutching my champagne glass like a lifeline. How could he? I muttered under my breath. Why would he do this? In front of everyone. "Are you okay?" a voice asked, soft and tentative. I didn't recognize the concern in the sea of empty smiles and judgmental glances. I'm fine," I said, though my voice cracked. The lie tasted bitter. I realized then that my life had been dictated by him. His words, his approval, his presence. I depended on him for confidence, identity, even happiness. And now, stripped bare, I felt powerless. Hours later, I left the party unnoticed, slipping into the cold night. The city lights blurred as tears streaked my face. I sank onto a bench, shivering, staring at my reflection in the puddle at my feet. I thought of my own dreams, the life I wanted before Aiden entered it. The realization hit me like a thunderclap. I couldn't keep relying on him. My worth couldn't hinge on someone else's approval. For the first time in months, a spark flickered, a quiet, trembling ember of resilience. It was small, fragile, but it existed. And in that ember, I sensed the beginning of something new, something powerful, something mine. I hadn't expected to see Leo again, childhood friend, partner in crime for scraped knees and secret adventures. He appeared like a memory I hadn't realized I missed. "Lila?" His voice held that same warmth I remembered. But there was something deeper now, quiet concern. "Leo, wow, it's been years," I managed, forcing a smile. "You look different, stronger, but tired," he said, studying me carefully. His eyes weren't judgmental. They just saw me. I laughed softly, bitterly. "You always did notice things. Some things I wish people didn't." "Maybe," he said gently, "but I think noticing is better than ignoring." We walked through the park, words flowing slowly at first. I found myself talking about things I hadn't told anyone. The lies, the betrayal, the humiliation at Aiden's party. "You shouldn't carry that weight alone," he said quietly. "You deserved honesty. You deserved respect. And you still do." Something inside me shifted. I felt heard, truly heard, without explanations, excuses, or manipulation. "Why are you being so kind?" I asked, surprised at the tremor in my voice. "Because I care about you, Lila, and not in the way he did. I care about you, not what you can give me, not how you fit into my life. Just you." The simplicity of it made my chest ache in a good way. A sense of clarity began to creep in. I could breathe, I could think, and most importantly, I could plan. "Leo, thank you," I whispered, my voice barely audible. "I've forgotten what it feels like to trust someone." "You'll remember," he said with a small, reassuring smile. "And when you do, it'll be because you never lost yourself completely." That evening, I walked home alone but lighter than I had in months. The ember of resilience from the party had grown into a flicker of hope. For the first time, I imagined a future where I wasn't just reacting to Aiden's chaos. Somewhere in the quiet of the city streets, I promised myself I would reclaim my life, piece by piece, with dignity and strength. And with Leo by my side, not as a crutch, but as a mirror reflecting who I could truly be, I knew I wasn't alone. I never thought rebuilding my life would feel like scaling a mountain in heels. Every step was shaky, every victory small, but it was mine. I focused on work, throwing myself into projects that reminded me of my worth beyond any relationship. "Lila, you've changed," Sophie said over coffee one morning. "Not just stronger, different, more alive." I smiled, though a pang of guilt tugged at me. I guess I had to. I can't let him define me anymore. Leo nodded. "And you won't. But don't forget, it's okay to feel conflicted. You're human." I laughed softly. Conflicted is an understatement. Sometimes I feel guilty, like I'm enjoying his downfall. Don't think of it as enjoying, Leo said. Think of it as watching balance return. Karma has a way of finding those who've been unfair. And he was right. Aiden's carefully constructed world began to unravel. Deals that once seemed untouchable collapsed. Whispers of betrayal followed him wherever he went, and former allies suddenly disappeared. I ran into one of his business associates at a cafe. I heard what happened with Aiden, she said cautiously. It seems he miscalculated a few things. I nodded, keeping my face neutral. Inside, a quiet satisfaction flickered, but it was tangled with sadness. This wasn't joy. It was reality correcting itself, a lesson he had refused to learn with me. That night, I sat by the window, thinking about everything. Aiden's manipulations, the humiliation, the heartbreak. And yet, I felt something unfamiliar. Peace. Not total, not permanent, but a seed of it had been planted. I whispered into the dark. I don't need revenge. I just need to live fully without fear, without him. The moral tug-of-war inside me was real. Part of me wanted to gloat, to savor every consequence Aiden faced. But the larger part of me knew the truth. Peace isn't about watching someone fall. Peace is reclaiming yourself, brick by brick, moment by moment. And for the first time in months, I could see a life that didn't revolve around his choices, his lies, or his approval. I was rising slowly but steadily, and this time I was in control. I found him in the penthouse, lounging like nothing had changed. But I had changed. My heart no longer raced at his presence. My voice no longer trembled. I was calm. I was ready. Aiden, I said, stepping into the room. He looked up, surprise flickering across his face. Lila, what are you doing here? His charm wavered. I came to return something, I said, reaching into my bag. I pulled out the delicate necklace he had given me when I first fell in love with him. A symbol of control disguised as affection. He froze. That, you can't. I can, I interrupted gently. This belongs to me, not you, just like my life does. He tried a smirk, but it faltered under my gaze. I don't understand. After everything, I understand perfectly, I said. I understand that your lies, your manipulation, your betrayal, none of it defines me anymore. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration and maybe fear crossing his face. You think you're strong? You think you're better than me? I'm not trying to be better than you, I replied steadily. I'm just me, free from you. The tension in the room was thick, yet liberating. I felt a weight lift off my chest, a clarity I hadn't known I'd been craving. You've changed, he muttered, almost grudgingly. I had to, I said. I had to find myself without the shadow of your lies looming over me. And now, I can finally breathe. His eyes darted to the necklace again, realization dawning that control had slipped from his fingers. I handed it to him, not as submission, but as a final acknowledgement that our story had ended on my terms. You're serious, he said quietly, almost defeated. I've never been more serious, I said, a soft smile touching my lips. This is closure, for both of us. I turned and walked out, each step echoing my newfound strength. The door clicked behind me, and with it, the last chains of heartbreak fell away. I was no longer a victim. I was whole. The news reached me slowly, like a whisper I wasn't sure I wanted to hear. Aiden's deals were collapsing, one by one. Friends who once laughed at my expense now avoided him, and even his closest allies were turning away. I ran into Sophie at our favorite cafe. I heard about Aiden. Is it true? She asked, concern mixed with surprise. Seems like karma has a sense of timing, I said softly, sipping my coffee. I couldn't bring myself to gloat. That wasn't me anymore. Leo, sitting across from me, reached out and brushed a strand of hair from my face. You okay? I am, I said, meeting his eyes. I feel peaceful, in a strange way. It's like the chaos is finally settling. But do you feel satisfied? He asked cautiously. I paused. Not exactly. I see the consequences, yes, but I don't take pleasure in his pain. I've learned that peace isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming myself. Watching him struggle is just life balancing itself. Leo smiled. Exactly. You've grown. You're stronger than before. The days that followed brought subtle joys. Friends returned, laughter replaced tension, and I felt more like myself than I had in years. I wasn't defined by Aiden's betrayal or by anyone else's perception of me. One afternoon, I saw him across town, trying to speak to someone, pleading, awkward and humbled. A flicker of something, pity, compassion, rose in me. I walked past without confrontation. My closure didn't need his acknowledgement. Later, Leo and I walked home together. "You've come so far," he said, a gentle pride in his tone. "Not everyone can rise like this." "I had to," I replied. "I couldn't let the past keep shaping me. I needed to step fully into my life on my own terms." And in that moment, I realized how far I'd come. The ember that had flickered in the aftermath of betrayal had become a steady flame. My bond with Leo deepened naturally, built on trust and authenticity, not the chaos of manipulation. Aiden's ripples faded into the background of my life, while I moved forward, confident, compassionate, and entirely myself. The past existed, but it no longer controlled me. I sit on the balcony, morning sunlight spilling over the city, and I finally allow myself to breathe. Months ago, I was broken, heart shattered, trust betrayed, dreams entangled with someone else's lies. Now I see how far I've come. "Lila." Leo's voice interrupts my thoughts, warm and steady. "You look at peace." "I am," I reply, smiling softly. "It took losing a lot to find what really matters. I used to think happiness was something someone gave me, Aiden, my circumstances, even chance. But it's not. It's built, piece by piece, with patience, courage, and self-love." He sits beside me, hand brushing mine. "And you've done that beautifully. I've seen you rise, stronger than ever." I nod, letting the truth settle in my bones. Aiden exists now only as a shadow, a cautionary reminder of what blind trust and dependence can cost. His downfall, his remorse, none of it defines me. I used to think I needed him. I whisper. I thought his love, his approval, his world. That's what I wanted. But I was wrong. What I wanted, what I needed, was to trust myself. Leo squeezes my hand gently. "And now I trust myself completely," I say. "I know my worth, my boundaries, my voice. I've learned that justice isn't revenge. It's reclaiming who you are and refusing to be small for anyone." We sit in silence, the city humming below us. I glance at Leo, and my heart warms. Not because he fixes what was broken, but because he stands beside me as it grows stronger, steady, and real. The love I have now is authentic, untainted by manipulation or illusion. "Ready for what's next?" he asks, a teasing spark in his eyes. "I am," I reply, a laugh slipping free. "Ready for everything. Life, love, dreams me. Fully, unapologetically me." And in that moment, I feel the final weight lift from my chest. The past was a storm, yes, but it passed. What remains is resilience, clarity, and a life reclaimed. I rise from the balcony, stepping into the sunlight. The ashes of my old life fall behind me. Ahead lies freedom, hope, and a love that is real. I am whole, I am empowered, and I am finally free.